You know, a lot of people ask me, as I've run a successful business, making lots of money doing YouTube and podcasting, how do you make money on these platforms? And there's a couple topics that I want to address in this video, which is how you can make money on YouTube, some advice for podcasting, video production, etc., and the issue around topics, categories, and where the real money lies. For those that are wondering, my business has consistently done over $10 million per year. And it's no secret. I've talked about it quite a bit. We have no financial backers, no investors. It was built from the ground up, starting with just myself making YouTube videos and eventually hiring people who have helped bring it to this level. But in the early days of political commentary and news, culture, content, etc., it was very much entertainment based. And some of the content I would do would just be cultural. And so I'd see way more money. For political content, which I typically do, you're going to get a lot more money in political season, as people are dumping money on political content because they're trying to win elections. So something called your CPM, how much money you get for every 1,000 views, goes way up. But something's been taking over the internet. Gambling influencers. You see, one of the things you need to understand about making money is it's not just what kind of content you're making, though this is probably the most important. And then, of course, your talent. But also, are you going to get the views? And the reality is, for gambling content, we've seen reports that CPMs, the amount of money you get, is starting to go way up as sports betting becomes more popular and people are heavily entertained by characters like Vegas Matt. I'm a fan of his channel, but it's relatively simple. I don't mean that in any disrespectful way. The dude just plays super high limit slots, gets hundreds of thousands to millions of views because people really enjoy the content. So let's take a look at currently what's going on with YouTube, where a lot of the money is. And I want to start here with this gambling content, as I think this has started to take over. We have this video from Vegas Matt. I'll give you a quick example of the content he makes. And then I do want to talk about what it's all doing to, what it's doing to the world. What's happening to our society and culture because of how these ad rates track. And I do believe it's all going to go belly up because of this system, and I don't know how you change it. That is, you may get rich as the Titanic sinks. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this. Gambling content is getting massive amount of viewership. People are trying to tackle this industry more and more. And I would argue that gambling influencers are now at the level of where political commentary and cultural influencers were about 15, maybe 12 years ago. That is, I do think in the next few years, gambling content is going to take way over. So here's an example. Let's play this video from Vegas Matt. And I'm a fan. I like his, I like his show.
W2, welcome back. And are you ready to get the Wolf Peak bonus today?
Today's the day.
Today's the day.
It's going to be the day. Wouldn't that be cool? We just sit down and boom, Wolf Peak bonus.
So he's got a 43-minute long video, and he goes and plays Wolf Peak. He is betting $80 per spin, which seems pretty crazy. And then let's just jump to where he hits the bonus. Is this the bonus?
Yeah.
No, it's not a bonus. Usually he hits the bonus. Look how long this takes. I'm not going to watch 20 minutes. Looks like he doesn't hit the bonus at all. I don't know. Jumps to a new machine. Looks like he's playing something else instead.
I think if you change denoms to, no, not dollars. Not that either.
And they have a very clever marketing plan at this company. Don't tell you what it's called.
Double Firestorm Bison.
Yeah,
It sounds like an online game, and it kind of looks like an online game with like crappy graphics and.
Yeah.
Indeed it does. Let's see if he actually hits one of these bonuses and makes an insane amount of money. So he does hit a bonus. Let's see what he ends up with. He's betting, I think, is he betting $80?
It was really bad.
Really bad bonus. He won $813. Okay, so let me tell you what I see is going on right now. There are a ton of TikTok videos, Instagram videos, where people are buying coffee and then gambling to win. These are ads. There's also videos that I've seen where one was like a bait prank where they tie a rope to a bicycle and then hope someone steals it. And then as soon as the guy goes up to grab the bike, it cuts back to the producer who's sitting there and he goes, hey, while we're waiting, let's play blackjack. So here's the thing. There are a couple things to understand with what's going on in the industry. And I'll jump over to our friend ChatGPT to give us a breakdown of where the real money is at on YouTube. The top 25 YouTube niches by CPM, meaning if you make a video on finance, investing, and trading, and you get 1,000 views, you will receive from YouTube between $25 to $40. That is insane money. If you do insurance content, 22 to 36. Business is number 3 at 18 to 30. Real estate is number 4, 18 to 28. And then if you look down, you got crypto, blockchain, you've got legal, law advice, education, STEM. Now, there's an important thing to understand. However, as we go all the way down, we can see sports commentaries at $4 to $8. Political commentary and news is $4 to $8. Indeed, that's correct. It used to be a lot higher, but we are in an off season. Vlogging and personal lifestyle is between 3 and 7. Beauty and fashion is between 3 and 7. Outdoor camping, 3 and 7. Gaming is actually very low at between $2 to $6. There's a lot to break down with why these numbers are the way they are. Gambling content ranks between $3 to $8 CPMs. However, if you're focused on poker strategy, advantage play, meaning you're teaching people how to win, card counting, etc., you're going to see it between a $10 and $15 CPM. This is the most important thing to understand. However, the question then becomes, how many views are you really going to get from doing finance content or making videos about insurance? Do you know a lot of people that are Google searching videos on insurance? Typically, they're not. So the viewership is going to be a lot lower. Thus, you might only get 10,000 views. So you're going to get a couple $100, maybe $400 or $500. However, political commentary is typically through the roof because it's current events and everyone's always bickering and fighting with each other. So for me, I think I average across the board around 200,000 views per video. Though to be fair, with these other channels and a channel like this, the views are a lot lower. And this channel mixes social commentary and political commentary. Actually, you know what I should do? I'm going to jump over to my analytics and actually check what my current CPM is and tell you straight up, it's not giving me the number, which is weird. Maybe it's because this channel is relatively new. It's not giving me a number. Well, I do. Oh, wait, there it is. There it is. Okay. $8. $8. Actually pretty good. And this channel was, I created to tackle a variety of topics that I feel like talking about. It can range from videos like this on where the money comes from on YouTube, how you can make money and things like this. So not necessarily finance, investing, and trading, cryptocurrency, or any legal law advice, but general business, entrepreneurship, and startups. Hey, maybe I'll actually get a high CPM on this video. So the two questions you want to ask yourself is, well, the first thing you want to ask yourself is, what are you passionate about? Do you actually care about any of these topics? Because you ain't going to fake it. The truth is, if you try making finance and investing and trading videos and you don't know what you're talking about, you're not passionate, nobody's really no one's going to want to click on it. And then your content is just, it's not going to make it. I do recommend taking sales courses. Being taught how to do general sales is massively advantageous for anybody who's trying to make content. I don't have a script for any of the things that I do. I literally just turn the camera on and then wing it. I have a general idea of what I want to talk about, what I think is interesting. And after seeing a bunch of people pop up these videos from Las Vegas is suffering, these gambling influencers popping up and becoming more and more famous, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about how all of this stuff breaks down. So while you are seeing these high CPMs, that doesn't mean if you make an investing and trading channel, you're going to get that money. You still got to be on top and you've got to get the views. Otherwise, the CPMs are meaningless, which means there's a balance to the CPM, how much money you get per 1,000 views, and whether or not you'll actually get the views. You'll have a lot harder of a time building a large audience in finance because not as many people are paying attention. To be fair, however, I do think there are many people who are interested in how to make money, how to succeed, how to start a business. So the one thing you should know in this capacity is that it's a lot easier to make a video about political commentary where you say something like, I like or don't like insert politician, because there's high search volume for these topics. It's a specific person. They're in the news. Everybody wants to know about it. What benefited me when I got started making my YouTube channels was that I was intentionally going to places where things were happening. I was interested in those things. I would film and then talk about the thing because I wanted to understand it. And then when everyone begins searching YouTube for it, my videos are right there. They pop up. People click it. I get views. I get money. So right now, as I mentioned, how much money our business makes, you guys have a general idea, and we get millions of views. So I think we average like 65 million or so per month on average. This is a lot higher in the beginning of the year. When you get to the end of the year, it starts to go down. We do political commentary, which means next year there's a midterm season. Our views will go up and CPMs will go up. And then by 2028, it will be massive. So last year, our CPMs were relatively high, around $15, maybe sometimes even $20, and our viewership was massive. On Timcast IRL, we were averaging somewhere around like 70 to 80,000 concurrent viewers watching any given night. Now we're at about 40,000 on average per night. So people lose interest. And when people lose interest, well, you lose views, you don't make as much money. So again, the first thing you want to ask yourself if you're trying to get into this business and you're trying to make content is, what do you really care about? And the truth is, if you don't care about anything, you're not going to make it. You can start researching now. You can even make a channel where it's like, here's my journey learning thing. And it's more of a personal vlog style content in a certain area, which can mix your CPMs up a little bit. For example, if you're doing vlogging and personal lifestyle saying, I'm getting into this industry, which is finance, your CPMs might go up a bit because you're mixing the finance with personal vlog stuff, but the vlog stuff is probably going to make more money. Or I should say, advertisement is going to more heavily focus on the vlog style as opposed to finance. So here's how it breaks down. The reason why there's an inverse relationship is that advertisers are bidding for these subjects. So I do a lot of advertising on Google as well. I shouldn't say a lot. We've only started doing this recently in about the past 2 years, maybe a year and a half. And we've done marketing for songs, music that I've produced. And we've done this for my political commentary channels. We're now starting to promote our skateboard company, The Boonies. And I can certainly do breakdowns on the business entrepreneurship of how to start a product and everything we do. I think that'd be interesting, actually. I can show you how we actually run our skateboard company, how we started from the ground up, how we produce these things. I think it'd be very educational and could help a lot of people start businesses. And we need that now more than ever because, the economy, it is where it is. So anyway, the inverse relationship comes from the amount of content available, the amount of views available, and how many companies want to compete and have their product viewed. So the reason why finance, investing, and trading is so high is that there's a lot of money to be made. The truth is, if you want to be rich, YouTube's not the place to do it. You can certainly make a great living if you're the cream of the crop, the best of the best on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or otherwise. But for most people, you're not going to make a lot of money. Now, if you work in investing and trading, private equity, etc., you'll be rich for seemingly no reason. So I recommend you guys, if you care about that stuff or you just want to get rich, working in the industry to just be rich is probably the place you should go. Now, I'm not going to be able to advise you on how to do that. I can just tell you, I know a lot of people who work in that industry who make stupid money doing seemingly nothing. And it's because they control money. That's it. You want money? Control it. Makes sense, right? When it comes to the industry I'm in, it's what I care about. So if I have a company that sells toothpaste, for instance, we can go down to political commentary and news. Highly competitive, oversaturated space. Right now, political commentary is pop culture. So it's sort of fading away. Typically, the year after a presidential election, everyone's burned out on politics, and you will see viewership massively decline. It is what it is. If you chase after only political views, you're going to suffer. However, we're now entering a midterm season where we're going to see congressional candidates that are running on the Democrat and Republican side. And these campaigns in each of their regions are going to be dumping tons of money into ad space on YouTube. CPMs will go up. Interest will go up. Viewership will go up. This is the political cycle. It doesn't exist for any of these other industries in the same way. They all have their different cycles for whatever reason. So as we go into the next year, the important thing to understand about advertising on YouTube is that it doesn't matter if New York is buying ads. What matters is that everyone everywhere is buying ads. You're probably going to see your biggest returns coming from districts that are swing districts. Now, I'm not telling you all of this to tell you to get into political commentary. I'm just giving you the experience that I have so you can understand how the system works. If I go on Google Ads and say, I want to advertise specifically on music and music videos, look how trash that CPM is. 50 cents to $2. It costs nothing. That means if you want to advertise any business you have and you go on Google Ads, that's your cheapest play. Music videos. For real. I don't know that you actually want to do it. The problem is you don't know what someone likes based on the music they're listening to. You can kind of infer, but I doubt if you advertise on, like a Morgan Wallen song or whatever, your financial product, not a great guarantee you're going to make money in the long term because everybody's listening to that song. So what happens? Well, if you have a financial product, you're advertising specifically on financial channels, but not that many people are watching relative to other genres. So what happens then? You got a lot of money. You want to compete. So you tell Google, I will pay whatever I have to pay to get my commercial to air on this kind of content. Well, guess what? So is your rival company. Now you've driven the price way up because there's a limited space, a limited viewership, and you really want those people to see it because those are your customers. Why advertise automotive, mechanic content on, a travel vlog? There's maybe a little overlap and people are driving around, but the travel people are going to be like, I don't care, I'm not buying your product. So you've spent $1 and got nothing. But hold on. Let's say on the automotive side, you buy an ad for your mechanic content or your shop. You may be spending $16, but you got 50 customers. So people are actually going to tune in. My prediction right now, the reason why I started off with this video from Vegas Matt, my prediction is that gambling content is actually going to take over for a variety of reasons. It's not just about what your CPM. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make. It's how many views can you get? Vegas Matt's got great content. He's got 1.37 million subscribers. He's been growing rapidly, as has another channel, Lady Luck. I don't know if I actually have her Lady Luck pulled up. I do. Lady Luck HQ currently has 1.05 million subscribers. Here's the thing. In trying to understand how you're going to start a business in this space, when it comes to videos or otherwise, you can't just think about, are you going to make money on this platform? So the interesting thing with Lady Luck, for instance, is, I don't know how true it is, but the rumor is that she actually gets her flights and private jets paid for by these casinos because she's advertising for them. So she's hit a double whammy, as has Vegas Matt. Here's a video from her where she says, my luckiest day on Dragon Link led to $1,000 spin bonuses. Excuse me. 178,000 views. Here she has, it says, on max bet. She looks all excited. Thumbnails are important. The moment he did this, my jaw hit the floor. $360 a spin, 238,000 views. This is free commercials for these companies. So what happens? The CPM on gambling content currently is not that high. I think it falls in the, what do we pull up? $3 to $8 CPM. Not bad. Not bad. Comparable to vlogging and political commentary. So if you're getting 200,000 views, she's probably getting $500 to $600 per video she makes. You know what? Not a lot of money on YouTube. However, she can also write off all of her gambling losses because it's part of her business, and she probably makes money gambling. I would argue that in the long run, they're probably going to lose money gambling. But sometimes you hit it big and the variance favors you. Typically, these slot machines have around a 90% payout, which means if you put $100 in over a long period of time, you're only going to get $90. Periodically, however, when she's making these big bets, she might actually score $200,000, $300,000, and maybe in 1 year, she's actually up from gambling. I doubt it. Because their goal is to produce content, I imagine in the long run, they're actually losing money gambling. But they're getting travel comps, they're getting jet comps. That's the rumor. Or I should say, that's what people believe is currently going on. Again, we can talk about any one of these other networks or whatever, niches. I'm just explaining the ones that are taking off right now and what I see. I actually think there's a strong probability the CPMs go down for gambling content and gambling influencers, but the amount of money they make goes up. The point is, we are seeing the rise of gambling influencers like crazy. Here we have this from Viral Nation, 10 online gambling influencers raking it in. They get paid to produce this content. Often, depending on what you believe is going on, I think a lot of it might be fake, to be completely honest. Like, you go to a casino, you say, give me a machine set to pay out, but I won't keep any of the money. There have been people who have been playing blackjack, and they'll bet like $10,000 per hand. The rumors are they're not really playing. The casino will give them chips at the table. They'll play the game. Then the casino will take all the chips back. Nobody made or lost any money, but they can get clips being like, oh, there we go. I just won 10 grand. So you think they're making money. But those videos get views. They can sell sponsorships from the casinos who are then going to pay a pretty penny or pay these people to produce this content. We are seeing a lot of this. So I don't know. The simple version as to why I want to make this and break this down is because I'm seeing a lot of this. And there seems to be an explosion of gambling influencer content. I think you're actually going to see the CPMs arguably improve. First, my argument as to why they might go down, as I said a moment ago, is because saturation. However, I think there's also an opportunity for them to improve as it's generally safe content. See, right now, You got risks in a lot of these things. Cryptocurrency and blockchain tends to do well because you'll notice, check this out. All of the top of the highest paying CPMs are related to making money. Because when you're controlling money, you're making money. You can see cryptocurrency in there. Gambling somewhat falls in this space. As people become listless and young people are dejected, can't find jobs, can't get homes, gambling content is popping up. Now, it's a shame because you're not getting rich gambling. However, that's why we can see Advantage Play actually has a higher CPM. Interesting, right? Again, the point is not to promote gambling. I'm not telling you to go gamble. I think you'll lose money in the long run and hurt yourself. The point is, if it involves ways to make money, you are going to make more money. So I wonder if this video is going to make more money. What I will say is, just some general advice for YouTube and things of that nature. I can't speak too much for Instagram because we don't make any money on Instagram. It's hard to make money on Instagram. They don't have any internal structure for it. We get some stuff. Facebook as well. It's pretty trash. TikTok's pretty trash. They'll ban you in a moment's notice. X is pretty good if you can get engagement. You don't really make money off views, though. You make money off people responding to you. Hence, everyone's just screaming each other's faces. So I guess the view I have of where this all goes is the end of days. It's going to fall apart because when you look at charts like this and people are actually just trying to make a business, they want to make content that's going to make money for them. Everyone's going to chase after something that generates the most amount of money. In the short term, this means our industries are going to be weird. The actual services people need done aren't going to happen. And finance, insurance, business, and the top CPM rates might actually collapse if people keep trying to be influencers in these spaces. Gambling, however, is really interesting. So we'll see. Take a look at this. Comedy, $1.50 to $4 CPM. Very miserable. Parenting and family is pretty good. Crypto seems to be where everybody wants to go, right? Business, entrepreneurships, startups, $18 to $30 CPM. How to start a business and how to make money. So let me just say this right now. For those that are trying to get involved, my recommendation is you want to ask as many questions as possible. You want to read as much as you can. Really, the only way you're ever going to figure this out and succeed in this space is if you really have the passion and the understanding and you're willing to learn. Every day you're going to make content and you're going to navigate this space. You're going to figure out what works and what doesn't. Here's the detriment. While that will help you in the long run, depending on what content you're making, it can be fine. You'll notice some people are evil. And therein lies the great challenge. Evil people are always going to make more money than you. So the question is, how evil do you want to be? Some people outright are like, don't know, don't care, I'll be as evil as possible. Well, they tend to commit crimes, right? Well, you don't want to commit any crimes, right? I hope not. So then you're going to be looking at what content makes me money. But if you're unscrupulous, just not willing to go to jail, you might decide to make rage bait, inflammatory content that generates money and clicks. And what are you going to do? People choose to do this and they get away with it because YouTube allows it. Now, if you have scruples and you want to run an honest business, you need to find what you're truly passionate about, research it, and figure out where that line is. Some people will always justify why they're allowed to cross certain lines, even though they know deep down in their heart of hearts they're doing something wrong. And that's the sad reality. But I think ultimately what's going to hurt you the most, emotionally, is you're not going to cross those lines you won't cross, but you will see people who are evil. And what I mean by evil is they'll make fake videos. They'll lie. They'll smear people. We see this in the corporate press every single day because they want views. So they will intentionally malign someone to create shock content because it generates traffic. Then a day later, they'll issue their retraction. That generates traffic too. It all just gets them eyeballs and makes them money. So what I will say finally, partly why I wanted to make this is that I've seen the explosion of gambling influencers and content. And they're making money not just by getting ads, but they're getting money largely from the companies behind the content they produce. So as we look at these CPMs, you can see an opportunity. It's not just about what the YouTube ads are going to generate, but who you can partner with, who's willing to pay to appear on your content. And those companies are going to be massively important for you as a content creator. In the end, you're going to need talent. You can work for it. Some people naturally have it. You're going to need to have passion for what you're looking into and what you're talking about. If you want to talk about business, entrepreneurship, and startups, you're going to need to have experience in that area that people are going to want to listen to, and you're going to need to be able to articulate it clearly and easily. Now, I can probably make 800,000 videos breaking down all the finer points of how we work our company, where we make money, what our strategies are. And it's a mix of how do we entertain and attract viewership in this political commentary, in news space, and cultural commentary space without crossing those lines and competing with others who are saturating the market and trying to do the exact same thing. I think these are important things to consider. And then I strongly just recommend that take a look at how people make their thumbnails, but I will stress thumbnails on YouTube aren't the most important thing. Titles work really well, and you will hear this from everybody. They'll say things like short titles, vague titles, punchy thumbnails. I will tell you this right now, none of it is true. The only thing that is true is the community you are capable of building. So, for example, if you go to my channel, youtube.com/TimCastNews, we've experimented with specific thumbnails in the past. They don't work. The thumbnails that work the best, it's me, and it's the cover of the news article I'm talking about. And why does that work so well? Because I have built a community of people who like that. Now, it may be true that generally, mathematically, in the big picture, a punchy thumbnail showing someone with their face, jaw hanging open, holding up a cell phone, or, eyes rolling in the back of their head, whatever, with a big word, might generally do best. That may be great for you in the beginning. It may do better than a thumbnail of nothing. So thumbnails do matter. But if in the long run, let's say you make tech review content and you're doing smartphones or whatever, if your thumbnails always just were a picture of a smiley face, and you built an audience of people who knew when they see that smiley face, that's your video, no other thumbnail is going to work, and changing your thumbnails a bad idea. So what I would say is typically people are looking for new information. They want something that's going to inform them, that'll pique their curiosity. And hence, when you look at all these subjects, you can see where the money's really at. If you're a young person and you're just trying to get into the media space, it's not going to work if you try and get into investing, finance, and trade, and you don't know anything about it. I think if you don't really care about it, it's not going to work out for you. But ask yourself what you really do care about, find it, and then figure out what you can do. The point I was making earlier about the inverse relationship between total viewer opportunity and CPM is meant to say you can do anything. PewDiePie and other big gamers, Ninja, I know they're pretty old, right? They made bank, even though the CPMs were ridiculously low. And there are people working in finance you've never heard of making bank. And you haven't heard of them because not that many people watch that content. So volume matters as well. Let this be an opening salvo lesson. And I decided to make it just because, we've been talking about the gambling influencer stuff for a while. They've been getting more and more prominent and popular. And people have asked me for business advice. And I will say I do have a Cameo and shout out available if you're familiar with these platforms, where if you're looking for more specific business and career advice that you think I can offer up, you can find me there. Just search for Tim Pool or Timcast. And I'll say this to all the haters. We pull in, I don't know, I think last year we did like 15 million. And before that, you look at my net worth, it's all fairly fake. But do your general business evaluation then. If we're pulling in that much in revenue, and I will stress, largely we reinvest that. We don't have to. The margins are actually ridiculously good in the industry we're in because it's not that expensive to produce this kind of content. You can take a look at the size and strength of my business, the success that we've had. I'm not going to pretend to be the biggest podcaster in the world or anything like that, but I do make a lot of money because we've attacked the business in a bunch of different ways. From internal products and merchandise and IP to membership, subscriptions, and otherwise, there is an opportunity for you to build a business, be independent, and succeed. And another reason why I wanted to make this is I hope that Gen Z finds this, and this is some kind of light at the end of the tunnel, which is why I was talking about your passions and what you're interested in. I'm not really focused on an older audience that have already found their careers and have already found ways to make money. But there are young people right now trying to figure it out, and I see many of them getting involved in gambling content. There is an opportunity there, and I do think it's going to explode and become one of the more prominent spaces online. It already is. So as you get into this space and try and figure things out, hopefully this video helped. Hopefully there was some general understanding and you learned how YouTube works for the most part. What I will say finally, YouTube decides. There's no reason for Mr. Beast to be recommended to literally everybody, but YouTube as a corporation chose him. At the highest levels, YouTube chooses if you're going to be number one. That's it. At any moment, they can just remove your channel if they don't like it. They've done it. They can decide to small room shadow ban you so that you don't get that many views. That's a sad reality. One of the reasons why I made this channel is to be not super political and get involved in other spaces. We're planning on putting up vlogs and travel and other content on this page, interviews, and just things I feel like doing so that YouTube takes their thumb off the scale. Look, you do political commentary, depending on how you do it, some people get banned. That's just the way it is. But there's an opportunity for you here, and I will say finance tends to be the safest, but be careful. When it comes to finance, you can get sued. I'm going to wrap it up there. We'll probably make more videos like this talking about making money on these platforms. And of all the things that I'm an expert in, the one thing I talk about the least is actually running a business, which I do, and I have a ton of them. And so I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in those insights and that experience, though I'm not the biggest business owner in the world, nor the most successful. I can certainly tell you things about this space many other people cannot. And so I skateboard, I play music, I play poker, I talk about the news. We'll have more videos like this, and you always feel free to reach out for those that are looking for business opportunities and understanding. Again, shout out and Cameo. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next segment.